Hello and welcome to Medieval Dynasty. Well, as you can probably hear, our stomachs grumbling, so we're going to have to actually get something to eat. So we've got a few things that we had when we came into the valley, so I'm actually going to grab that oat roll. So that gives me quite a bit of food, so that gives me enough to keep things ticking over. I mean, we're into day 2 of spring. One thing I'd say is, you've obviously got to keep your food levels up. When you get level 3 to day 3, there's not that much of an incentive to max out your food level, because when that final day ends and you transition over to the next season, all of that gets reset. You end up with full food, full health, full everything. So yeah, it's not so important for the final day, just for the first 2 days. But as important as this kind of like tutorial is, I mean, we're following this one here, which is the survival. We've got to do things. This is chapter 2. We've also got another one, which is Uniegost's story, which is saying go back and see his wife. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to build another house, because one of the things you can do in this game, I mean, it's an open play game, open world game. You can do whatever you please, more or less. We just had to really go and see the castle and at least get the game started. But what I'm going to do is actually build another house. And then once I've done that, I think that's when we'll head over to Gostovia. So I'm just going to do this off camera. And then I'll bring you back once ready. Well, that extra house has now been built. So I'm just putting things away just to get the weight down, because I can only carry so much, up to 35 kilos. So I'm just putting things away in the house, chest there. But I've now actually got 2 buildings. What you need to bear in mind though is, if I go over to management, it's showing at the moment we don't owe any taxes. We're up to basically the first month in spring. If we go over to the buildings, it actually shows you how much tax you have to pay against each building. So we're already incurring tax. Once we start building fields, we'll get taxed on those as well. So these are just things to bear in mind. But I mean, to be fair, we've also got a limit. We'll go back to management. We've got a limit of 5 buildings anyway. While we were doing that, because I've built that extra house, my technology has now gone up. We've generated enough points so that we can actually get schema now. We can actually build. We've unlocked the ability to create what's called a resource storage. That gives you like a sentence storage, much more room than your chest gives you. We've also got more points, and this has gone into extraction. So we've got choices on here. That one's going to be quite useful later on, where it actually gives you half of the resources back. Normally what would happen is if you destroy something, so I'll just get my hammer, switch over to destroy, you can see these things turn red. You've got to actually take out each of these panels plus the roof section before you can destroy the building itself in its entirety. But you get nothing back for it. If we go, just press K to get back into skills. Once you've got that ability, it actually gives you 50% of those resources back. So that's definitely useful, because you'll be able to upgrade buildings. Now, you don't have to do a great deal to do those. You've got to destroy certain parts, almost, and you'll get, you get some resources back. But further down the line, you'll end up having to replace buildings in their entirety. So if you want to replace a simple house with a small simple house with a simple house, you're gonna have to destroy the entire house and then build a completely new one. So that's a lot of resources you're going to be losing if you don't have that ability. But as with most skills, because we're just starting, I'm going to put that point into extraction knowledge. So it means every time you start chopping things down, digging things up and so on, we're going to get 5% more. When we get to the next stage, it's 10%. So it does get better, but it maxes out after 3. Now, because we took a tier 1 skill, it's opened up tier 2. So you then get to options like this one, which is force of nature. So it means your axes wear out less. You can get 1 with the earth, where that's better for like your pickaxes and shovels, which we're not into yet. It's more that one's useful for chopping the trees down. That one though, which is a tier 3, that's extremely useful because it increases our carrying weight. But yeah, we're gonna have to do a lot of these, and it's all based on grinding to get all this anyway. Anywho, I'm gonna put away our hammer, because I mean, at the moment, we've got 2 quests to go. We've got a survivalist one. So this is chapter 2 of the tutorial. Basically saying, build a rabbit trap, build yourself a spear, build a knife, go and hunt a wild animal. And then once you've done that, we've got to wait out for a season. So the other quest is to go, it's part of Uniegost's story, which is to go and talk to his wife. So I am tempted to do that. I was going to go back into Gostovia, but I think I'm actually going to do that one first, because then it's a case of there's nothing left to do for the rest of the season. So if I want to build a trap, we'll go over to furniture and decorations, then over to traps. And at the moment this is unlocked, so we need 10 sticks. So I can either gather sticks just right off the ground, or it'll be quicker to get them off the actual saplings. So that's 4, 6, 8. I can grab that. Oh, exactly 10. Right. Now a trap, it doesn't matter where you place the trap. I just tend to put it somewhere near where I'm always going to be, so I notice that it's active or needs attention. So I'm just going to leave this next to my house. So it doesn't matter the fact that this, this is like a village essentially, and you're not actually seeing any wildlife going by, but every now and again a rabbit will get caught in that trap, in which case you can get the resources back. So you'll get some meat and some fur from rabbits, and you get better traps later on. You'll get ones for fish, you'll get ones for birds, ones for rats and all sorts, but there's a limit as to how many you can create. You've got to get skills to improve that. Another thing it says is to create a wooden spear and a stone knife. So that's the other house. that's one downside of how many houses is going in the wrong one. Right, so to make a spear, I think I'll just use all of them up. To be honest, I'll just grab them. I'm just going to our wheel, go to handcrafting. If we go to wooden spear, you can see there's an option now which is to craft more. Yeah, whenever you've got enough resources to make more than one item, it gives you that option R, which says craft more, and then when you select R, it then asks, well, how many of those items do you want to actually make? So this is what I was talking about in the original playthrough, where they've introduced this extra toggle, where you can actually do all of this in one go. Because if I hit accept now for these 4 spears, it's making them one at a time. When you enable that toggle feature, it's actually going to make all of them in one effective go, basically. So I suppose it saves you a bit of time. Right, so we've now got 4 spears, so I'm going to equip them. So I'm going to filter that out to weapons and tools, and I'll put that into, say, I'll put that into slot 1. I'll put our axe into slot 2. So we need it says we need a stone knife, because that's where we're at. We're at the Stone Age, basically. So what we need to do is find some stones. Now, what you can do is if you turn the graphics down, you can actually see things better. At the moment we're in spring and there's a lot of foliage on the ground, so it's difficult to find them. There's one there. And there's one there. The best time to find them is in the winter, but there's a certain skill we'll get which will actually make them even more visible. Anyway, we need to make a stone knife. So I'll make one of those. And then what it's saying is we need to actually hunt an actual wild animal. So to make my life easier, I'm going to have a look around here, because I think I saw at least a rabbit out here somewhere. The problem I found is that animals like deer, for example, they now run away, and they literally run. It's hard to keep up with them. Oh, there's a rabbit there. So I've got to equip my spear. So I'm going to try and see if I can hit that. Oh, completely missed. Where did my spear go? If I hold down Inspector, the Alt key, it actually highlights things like your spear, for example. So that makes life a bit easier. Oh, it's the badger. Jeez Louise, that's going to freak me out. Right, I can just about see a rabbit running around. Yeah, I mean, if I hit like a deer, it just runs for miles and miles and I can't keep up. Oh! Run away! I'm running away from that hog because the hogs are a lot harder now. If you hit it in the head, before what used to happen is if you hit a hog, for example, in the head, it kind of stopped it in its tracks. Now they've got this strange mechanic where they'll kind of like they'll run away and then they'll charge you. But the trouble is they take a strange angle to come at you, and I found it very difficult to try and do that. I mean, there's a deer over there. I can try and hit the deer in the head. Yeah, so although we hit it, the problem is it just runs and it just keeps on running, and it'll be probably like halfway down the map by the time I find it. So at this stage, I'm finding the rabbits are really easy to deal with. I don't know if it's this. I don't know if that's the same one. But, and the other problem is that originally what used to happen is that see, it's way up there somewhere now. What used to happen is the spear, for example, it did actually stick in these animals, so it was easier to actually track them. Now you can't track them as easy. You need a decent bow and arrow now. And the trouble is, oh no. So that was a bit odd. Okay, fair enough. But I need the knife to skin the actual animal. That'll get me, in the case of deer, it gets me leather and it gets me meat. So it's a case of, oh great, now we can survive on meat. But as it's saying up there, to wait until the next season. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to see Uniegost's wife. So I'm just going to head back there. And then once we've got over there, I'll bring you back. Ah, now that's handy. I've actually just got back to here. And you can see we've actually already caught a rabbit. So if I hold down the E to collect it, and then I'll press E again, that rearms the trap. So they're pretty easy, and it's worth keep servicing those traps because you get experience. Every time you, you know, use these traps, you'll get experience back. Go to, I think it's in here, yeah. So we get that for like our survival technology, for example. I mean, at the moment, we're not at the stage where we can do like a hunting lodge, so we're gonna have to do more hunting, for example, or make more use of that trap. So it always pays to service that. Sometimes it's like every day, sometimes it's several times a day. So just keep an eye on it. Speaking of keeping an eye on things, I need to eat some food. So we're running out of food. So that's straight up, you can see that we're starting to get problems already. But anyway, I'm going to head back to Gostovia. And then once we're there, I'll bring you back. Now, unfortunately, it's kind of late. It's starting to get to 5:30. So the playback's a bit dark, I'm afraid. I'll try and brighten it up. But we're back here, and it's a case of we can go and talk to Uniegost's wife. Because the good thing about these quests is that if you've got somebody who's interested in a particular quest, they want to offer you a quest. If it's late, they'll go to bed and you can't wake them up. But if you've been given a quest and you need to go and see a specific person, it doesn't matter, you can wake them up in the middle of the night. They're not going to be bothered about that. But anyway, she works in the tavern here. So I'll try and brighten the place up a bit. So I'll have a chat with her. Okay, so I need to tell her about Uniegost, because he said he would give us some food. Okay. Oh, got some porridge. So we don't really know him, we just know we've only just met him really because of our uncle. Okay, so she knows a bit about him. And we don't know much about him either. Oh, okay, so a lot of people in the home. Okay. Well, that's cool. They've turned the lights on. Oh dear, my torch broke. Okay, so what's her background then? So she was part of a band of troubadours. Okay. Oh, okay. So she basically met Uniegost through this traveling band then. So they left and she stayed behind. No, to be honest, she doesn't actually look old. She's 32. We're 18 and she's 32, but she doesn't look old. Okay, so yeah, everything's to do with money, unfortunately. So she's going to give us a quest. Okay. So this is a continuation of Uniegost's story. So this is a kind of like a main quest, if you will. So there's a tutorial quest that you follow, but there's also these main quests that we get. And then there's some side quests. So there's one for Uniegost, there's one for Alwyn as well. He's a farmer. Now the interesting thing about these actually is that it tells you how long you've got to complete them if they're going to expire. So like Uniegost's, for example, you've got 18 years to complete that one. You've got 18 years. The other ones, the side quest ones, the ones that you get off the villages that are around here, they'll only last until the end of the season. If you don't complete them by the end of the season, you forfeit the quest, and you actually lose Dynasty Reputation. Anyway, she wants... Oh, hang on. She wants to deliver... Oh, right, we've got to go back to Uniegost to do this. Now, the thing is, it's getting dark, and it's going to kind of spoil things, I think. So, what I am going to actually do is something which is kind of like out of step, and that is, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to look for a wife, because one of the things you need to do to continue your dynasty, if you will, is you need an heir. One way to do that is to actually get a wife. Well, I'll say one way. What you need to do is go and find yourself a wife. They're going to be these NPCs that are scattered around the villages. They do move around, so you need to try and find someone that you think is going to be suitable. And it's a case of you've got to flirt with them to get them to marry you. Now the thing is, those people, I'm pretty sure they do move around over time. So what I've found is, if I build a house down here, for example, where we've got our village, if I can get her to join my village, then I'm in a better position, because if she's always going to be there and she'll be able to help me with the village. Once I've got her to marry me, it then frees up another house, and then I can start pursuing the rest of the village, you see, to expand it out. But your wife has a lot of useful features that she brings, a lot of useful skills that she brings to the table. One of which is, for example, she'll allow you to basically pay the taxes. At the moment, we're based over here. It's not too bad to travel down here to see Uniegost every spring. But what she'll be able to do is, say I decide to move the village and we're going to be up here, for example, or all the way down here. It's a long way to travel all the way just to see Uniegost. It's a lot of time wasted. What you can do with a wife is to actually just ask her to do it for you. Interestingly enough, she doesn't actually literally travel, because as soon as you ask her to do it, that's it. The quest, the actual quest that you get to pay your taxes is finished. And that's extremely useful. She'll be able to heal you as well. That's good. If you build up debt, in other words, you don't pay off your taxes, she'll pay them off for you. When you get further down, when we get like the heralds turning up, they could be down in Hornica, for example, and if we're up in the north of the map, that's a long trek to go and finish that quest line off, where you can just ask her to do it. So she brings a lot of good skills. So aside from being able to help you and living in the same house as you and being able to produce the heir, she's got a lot of useful skills. Now the trouble is, we've got, as I say, it is a bit dark, unfortunately, but we've got these two gentlemen here. So these are NP. Oh, actually, Summerwise, he's the actual he's the farmer who's selling the cows. But what I need to find is a woman that's out there in one of these villages, and I want to find ideally one with some pretty useful skills, level 3, that I can put to use, either to help me with a farming, maybe to help me with a hunting, for example, because those are the things we're going to get started with early on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wander around these villages. I mean, we're just trying to see what time it is. It's get that from the map. It's 7 o'clock at night. Now, they don't go to sleep, interestingly enough, so I can just keep working throughout the night to find somebody and probably try this area around here. I don't feel like going all the way down here to do it. So I'm going to go for a wander, see if I can find somebody. Interestingly enough, actually, when I came back from the village, I deliberately followed the riverbank, and I found 2 actual barrels. So from those I got 8 flour. Then another barrel got me 8 fertilizer, so that's useful. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over into that direction first before I go to Burrow. I'm going to take that route that way because sometimes there's a crashed cart there that might have something useful. So I'll head over in that direction, and then if there's anything interesting, I'll bring you back to show you. Now, this has popped up because, like it's saying, having a wife is extremely important. Now, we are over at Dobroniega. I don't know why we've got Braniga and then Dobroniega, but it is what it is. So what I did is I took a wander in this direction. I didn't find a crashed cart, but I did find down here a couple of bags. So that was useful. And then what I've done is I've taken a route back in this direction. Right down here there was another couple of bags just beyond this, on this side of the river, just next to the bridge. Trouble is, it is so dark it's hard to see anything, so I was coming back this way over to Dobroniega because I didn't find anybody over at Burrow, but I do quite like Dobroniega here. So it is extremely dark, I admit, but at this stage of the game I don't really have much choice. It's a case that there's a lot of things I need to get done, so I'll try and brighten it up in the video. But anyway, if I hold down the Alt key and go into Inspector mode, now I do like her because I was going to be a choice between somebody who would be a good hunter, for example, or a good farmer, because I can build like a hunting lodge to get meat. We definitely need to have somebody who's going to be able to gather meat for the village. That's useful. Or we could have somebody who's pretty good at gathering or working on a farm to work the crops while you're away, because one of the technologies you get is farming, and once you get to a certain stage, I think it's about 2,000 points, for example, you can start keeping horses, and horses make your life a heck of a lot easier. Now, villagers, what they'll do is they'll go off and do some working. They're not as good as you in the sense that they won't, chop as many trees down as quickly as you can, or they won't be able to sow enough crops as you can, for example. They're always going to be slower than you, but you'll still get passive income. Passive income, that'll be useful. You'll always get passive experience from them, in which case there's a big push to get, at least for me, to get somebody working on fields, because then I can go off and do something. In the meantime, somebody's working on the farms, and my farming technology is increasing over time, so that should make life easier for me. So it was going to be either or, either somebody who's good at doing the hunting or somebody who's good at doing the farming, ideally the farming. Now it turns out she's actually got 2 skills which are quite useful. She's also good at the hunting, the survival, which is that fish one, and she's also good at production, which is the anvil one. But what I actually want to do is, if I go and talk to her, you've got like a series of options. One of the things you can do is you can romance her, so that's where we start to flirt with her. We can also ask her to join our settlement. Now, if I get her to join our settlement, the good thing about that is she'll always be around in the vicinity, so she'll be able to help me around, because in this case she's good at farming. I'll be able to get the farming up and running, and I'll get her to do at least some work. But what it'll mean is I'll also be able to keep talking to her and romancing her, because we've got to get to a certain affection level. So if I go to option 2, so I can either use the mouse, and it opens up to give us choices. So what I can do is I can ask her something. For example, we can flirt with her. If you've got a lot of money, you can actually go and buy gifts and you can use those, but I'm just going to ask her. Oh, actually, let me backpedal, because if we go to this option here, which is small talk, we can find out a bit about her. So I've asked her what's on her mind. Okay, so she's a hard worker, so that's interesting. So if any questions come up in the affection about laziness, she probably wouldn't like that. How's that day doing? Winter, spring. Okay. And your skills. Okay, so she doesn't like to get bored easily. Any problems? Okay, so just like forests. Okay. Right, in which case I'm going to go over to romance. It comes up with a series of questions you can ask. Kind of like depending on her personality. You'll either get a boost in affection, or you won't get, or it could even go negative, or you might get nothing. So you can see down there. I mean, she's 19, so she's about only a year older than us. I think you've got to have. I think it's a gap of about 10 is the maximum you can have. But her affection level 0. We've got to get that all the way up to 100% before we can ask her to marry. So we'll just ask her a simple question, like what brought you here? Okay, so she definitely likes farming. So you can see we actually got a boost. We actually got 5 extra affection. So we've got to keep asking other questions. That could be an odd question to ask. Could ask her for advice on things. Maybe that might be something. Oh, so that got us an extra 5%. Ooh, okay. She's not very trustworthy of other people. I might just ask her general questions. I can't see anything that jumps out because there's always the potential that things can go against you here. What you can do is you can actually quick save the game, for example, or just a save, and then you can load it back if you want to play it that way. But I'm just going to play it for what it is. So she seems a hard worker, so I'm not too sure that would be an appropriate question for her. We could ask her a personal question, or we could ask her that one if we want to play it safe. Let's try that one. Okay, so we've got 5. So okay, so she doesn't believe in that. Okay. Right, so we've got about 15% in affection. That's as far as we can go for the day. So it means we've got to, every day we're going to have to come back and find her, either here or in some other village, to try to keep boosting this affection level until it gets to 100%. Or we could, if we had the money, go out and, for example, we could go and buy a gift, for example, and that could be a way to boost affection. But because we've maxed out our daily limit here, which has turned out to be 15%, I can't do anything further. So to make my life easier, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ask her to join the settlement. I don't have a farm for her to work on yet, but at least it's going to make life easier. Now, there are other things you can ask NPCs. You can ask her, for example, like that one there, have you heard anything interesting? So they'll tell you about, like, if there's a quest somewhere in some other village. You can ask for certain things, like, for example, does she know where farm animals are? And what happens if, say, like, I want to get some pigs? Well, if I want to get pigs, I've got to go to Dobroniega. If there's vendors, what happens if there's somebody who's selling, you know, fishing stuff, for example? Jezrega, for example. So that's pretty useful now. It makes life easier to, when you're getting started, to know where things are at. But anyway, I'm going to ask her if she'll join our settlement. Right, okay, so I can't do that, unfortunately, until I get 50 reputation. So that's a bit of a pain. So that means I'm kind of stuck then. So I'm going to have to do quests. But at least I know where she is. So our reputation is 30. So to get reputation, I need quests. Now, one of the quests is that one there. That's going to give me 20 just by waiting it out until the autumn, the summer rather. I'll be able to get more. That'll push me to where I need to be. So it looks like that's an option. If we go to Uniegosts, that's not getting me anything. Or if you can find somebody who wants a quest done, that's a possibility. Now the trouble is, it's late at night. If I go over to Bernard over there, for example, or Bernard I should say, think it's Bernard, yeah. Yeah, it says there the person's busy, they're not interested, so I'm kind of stuck. So that's another alternative. I could wait until the day. I mean, it's 1 in the morning, so that's a possibility. I might be able to get enough reputation, because I just need another 20. And then I can ask her, because there's always the risk that we get into summer and she can either just disappear altogether and be harder to find. And I do like her because of...
Hello there. Have a good day.
Because of the fact that she's got those other skills as well, so she's pretty flexible in what she can do. They all max out at about 3 skills tops is about the best you'll get when you're starting off, but those skills improve when you put them to work. So I've kind of like got choices. I think I might go, because it's late at night, I can actually go and see Uniegost. I know it's dark, but I think I might just do that to at least progress that rather than just wasting time. So I'll head over there and then I'll bring you back. Although it's early in the morning, because I've got a quest to specifically see Uniegost, I should be able to wake him up. Aha, there you go. So I've come back with some beers, so okay, so he's just giving us a bit of a background on how we met. Oh, so he was a thief when he started and when he met Jordan. That's interesting. Ah, okay. So this is how he's basically this is, oh dear. This is bad. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, you can't see much because it's gone dark. So basically, he's saying he stole Jordan's coin bag. Jordan caught him. Okay. Okay, so he didn't like get him thrown in jail or anything. Interesting. Okay, so we actually liked him. That's interesting. Attitude. Okay, right. So very odd. An interesting character by the sound of it. So he asked him to join up with him. Okay. Okay. Oh wow, so he had quite a presence by the sound of it, a very charismatic person. Oh wow, so it seems like he was a very likeable person. Okay. No. No, you don't just walk past. God. That doesn't sound real. The pack. Oh, come on. You've got to tell me more about the pack. Okay. That is just bizarre. See, they call themselves the Reminders. Okay. 5. Okay, it was a team of 5. So we know there was Jordan. We know there was Uniegost. Okay, so he wants to come back tomorrow then. So oh, that is cruel, that. That is cruel. I'm on 40. And I need 50 to go and... Oh man, that is seriously cool. So it's starting to get light. Although the... Oh, that's why I'm wondering why things are blurred, and it's because we're drunk. There's like a little... Down in the bottom left, there's a little icon showing that we're actually drunk. I was thinking, oh, what happened to the graphics and such? So it's now just after 5 in the morning. So some people around here that are offering quests, so that could be a possibility, because I mean, We need to find out about that one. So that one is... So we need to find out about a delivery problem from... Are they in here? Yeah, we can wake her up anyway, because as I say, if there's a specific person to go and see, you can wake them up. Okay, so we need some supply of rye. Hang on, yeah, it is a bad moment actually, but never mind. Oh, okay. Oh, so what's the problem? Oh dear. What did you do? Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I get that. Okay. Okay, so he went to sell a cow. So he didn't come back with anything, did he? He bought magic seeds. What an idiot. Oh, no. Well, he is an idiot. Okay. You don't get any dumber than that. Okay, so we're kind of stuck now, so what are we supposed to do? Oh! That's just made my day. Because we're now up to 50 reputation. So, to carry on that quest, I've got to go all the way up to there, but I'm going to head up to there. Because if I can get her to join the actual settlement, at least it means she's going to be around, she'll be able to help out in the village, but at least every day it'll be a lot easier to try and improve the affection, to get her to like me more, and then we'll be able to get married. So, I'm going to head back to there now that we're on 50 reputation, because hopefully now we'll be able to get her recruited. Well, it's morning now. Ooh, 7:45 in the morning. So I managed to get here. So that was lucky, that getting those 2 quests done, because we're now up to 50 Dynasty Reputation. So hopefully I can now ask her to join our little pack, if you will. So
Hello there.
do you want to join our settlement? Yeah. So she'll join. Now straight up, we've actually got some problems. To be honest, it's a case of she's gonna find her own way down to our village, but she doesn't have anywhere to live. So if I go over to management, what I can do is I can double click on that, which is her details there. It shows she's not overly enthusiastic, because she doesn't have anywhere to live, doesn't have any food, doesn't have any water, doesn't have any wood. So this is not going to help. If the morale drops too low, they do actually leave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get her to, well, you've got choices. You can press the F to manage assignments, but I can just double click on the house, and I can actually ask her to join and go and move into that little house that we created. So that's why I created that extra house. So that's a bit of an improvement, but we don't have any food, water, or wood for her. Now, to get that, I'm going to have to put those items into the chest that's in her house. So, for one thing, I need to find somebody who can sell me. Oh, Norbert over here. What is Norbert?
Hello, traveller.
What have you got, Norbert? So Norbert's into... So Norbert's... He's a herbalist. That's interesting. So he sells quite a few interesting things there. That's not what we're looking for. Yes, you can see like the little leaves next to the bags. That's the herbalist. What I need to do is find somebody who can sell me a crate. Not a crate, a barrel. So that could be interesting. So, well, I can just go and ask.
It's nice to meet you.
Where can I find production? So we can either go for possibly a craftsman, I think, or an innkeeper. So if I ask for an innkeeper, so Gostovia, Jezrika, or Horniger. So really, I'll probably be better off heading back to Gostovia because I need a bucket. I need to be able to give her some water. I can get her the food easy enough because I can cook meat and I can give her roast meat, for example. And I can chop trees up to create firewood, but it's the water that's going to be the problem. So I'm going to head back to Gostovia and see if I can find a bucket. Right then, so I managed to get all the way back to Gostovia here. So we're going to ask Dobroniega
How can I help you?
if we can buy anything off her. So I've got the option there, there's a bucket of water. I mean, I've got 50 coins. I could sell some things. I mean, I don't particularly need any flour at the minute, so I can sell all of the flour. That gets me 20. I mean, I've picked up things like poppy seeds and rye grain, for example, along the way, but that's enough. I mean, we only need, it says it's going to cost us 45 coins, so I'm going to buy one of them off her. So that'll solve my water problems. So I'm going to head back now. Actually, I haven't said that. I did make 2 knives on the way, so I could actually sell her 2 knives. It might free up a bit of the weight as well, because at the moment we're overloaded. We're carrying more than we can carry normally. So once you get into the yellow, yeah, we're carrying 36 out of a possible 35 kilos. I won't be able to sprint, for example, to get back, but I did actually create these extra knives. That will free up, and that gets us 40. So that, I think I'll also sell the spears off, because spears are easy to remake anyway, so that doesn't matter. So that takes quite a bit of the load off. So we're up to 92 now. So that's not too bad.
Have a good day.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to head back to the village. Now, our stomach's grumbling again. There's not much incentive for me to max out the amount of food for this day. As long as we can last the day without starving to death, our stats will reset, our food and water. But what I'm going to do is, I quite like this. We can, you've actually got a waypoint, so I can actually just double click somewhere on the map or place the mouse somewhere and press F. F to set the waypoint, F to remove it. So that's quite useful. So I need to be back over at the village, and then what I can then do is I can sort her problems out, because at the moment she doesn't have any food, she doesn't have any water, and she doesn't have any firewood, and I've got to sort that out because her morale is now down to -5. So that's something I've got to fix, otherwise she'll leave. Okay, so we've managed to get back and she hasn't left yet, so that's a good sign. A bit of planning would have made more sense, but you know, it is what it is. So what I can do is if I go into her house here, into her chest there, and I can leave that bucket of water. That sorts the water out. If I go over to the campfire here, oh, I need a torch or foobar. Right, okay. Since we're in a rush, I want to make sure she doesn't disappear. So I'll give that dried meat to keep her going for now. What I'll do is I'll cook some more. Right, I don't have any logs, so I'm going to have to chop a tree down. Yeah, my own stomach's grumbling as well. I'm going to chop a tree down, because what I can do is I can turn the logs into firewood. And then that'll sort that problem. So that gets us, with it being a maple tree, it gets us 4 logs. So if I go into the wheel, into handcrafting, and then into firewood, and I'll select I want to create more. For some reason I only picked up 3 of the logs, but we'll create firewood. There's a certain order to what they do. Is they'll burn firewood, they'll burn logs, they'll burn sticks, for example, they'll burn planks as well. Oh, there's that log. It's halfway up the tree. Ah, it's only 1 log to do. But they'll always burn them in a certain order. I mean, if I go into management and then into this population, it shows you they'll prefer firewood. If they don't have any firewood, they'll use sticks. Otherwise it's logs, otherwise it's kind of like last resort, they'll use the planks that you've got. But what I can do now is I can give her this firewood, and that sorts her problem, because she needs to be able to keep warm, and she'll have a much bigger demand when we get into the colder winter, for example. So I shall leave her that. There you go. That's all disappeared now. Now my own tummy's grumbling. So what I'll do is I'll go and I'll get myself one of those simple torches, because I've got some reeds down here. I just need 10 straw. And then I'll be able to basically cook some more meat. So I need meat, she needs meat. So because I've got her to join this village, she's now dependent on me to provide the food, to provide the water, to provide the logs as well. Now the water's not so bad because I've got a bucket. I can actually go back out. Let's just see if I can make that torch. I can now go back out to the river there. Oddly enough, even though we're right next to a river, they don't have any incentive to go and do this themselves. They could just literally walk down to the river. But for some strange reason, they just don't seem interested. So you've got to provide them with water. And at this stage, all of the needs that they have, I just provide those into that chest that's in their house. And then that sorts that out. One thing to point out, incidentally, you see that my food level is dropping really, really, really low. Once I actually run out of food resources or water resources, my health will start to go down. So that's something to bear in mind, because you could starve to death, you could die of thirst. But I'm just making some meat, some roast meat, because there's not much incentive for me to max out my food reserves, because this is the last day of the season. We get a reasonable amount of food. I mean, it's going to be much later down in the game before we can do more sophisticated stuff, like pies and tarts and all sorts. So I just need to keep myself from starving for the rest of the day, basically. Incidentally, I could have sold those oat ale. That they're worth quite a lot. I got 6 of them for doing that Uniegost quest. So what I'll do, just to keep her topped up, I'll give her them. Oh, hang on. I didn't want to do that. I'll give her them and I'll have my dried meat back. Because the dried meat gets you about 5 food, the roasted meat gets you 6. So if we go into back into consumption again, these are all things we can control as to what they can and cannot eat. So food, these are all these different types of food that you can get. So it goes all the way down to... right down... oh, wow, they'll even eat unripe berries and rot. That's interesting. I don't think so. I think it's more... that's got to be more to do with crafting, because I can't honestly see anybody trying to eat unripe berries or rot. But at least it means we've now actually got an NPC at our village. So every day, it's about 2 in the afternoon, every day what I can do is I can chat to her to try to build the affection levels up. And then eventually when we get to 100%, I'll be able to ask her to marry her. And then it's a case of she'll then move into our house, and it frees up that little house there, so we can bring somebody else in to help. So at this stage it's 2 in the afternoon. I suppose there's not a great deal I could do. I mean, I could go to different places to try these quests, for example. Some of the only thing to bear in mind though is the quests that you do, they usually only have until the end of the season to complete, so it might be difficult, especially when there's not a great deal of time left in the day. I might try some, but I think we'll pick that up in the next episode, because at the moment, if we go over to her morale's going up, but the trouble is she's got nothing to do. I don't have any work for her to do. I mean, she's not gonna be too bad as a hunter. Not really into excavation, for example, or diplomacy. So diplomacy's more for market reselling, but she'll be good at doing, say, at least like farming, being able to do fishing. But the trouble is, we're not into the stage where we can do any fishing. So that's also a skill for gathering the actual the mushrooms and herbs that are out there, but we're not there yet. Can't do crafting either, so really it's going to be one of these two. It's more likely to be the farming. So I think that's what we'll probably try and target in the next episode.